Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the tie that binds us growing up in the rural South. Of course, what we have with us to talk about the tie that binds us and growing up in the rural South, the author of the book, The Tie That Binds Us, Miss LBerry. And of course, Miss Berry, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Haynes.
And Ms. Berry, to tell you how delighted we are to have you here, because I think that you've got a lot of information that many people would like to know about. I know we've talked about many topics on this show, but we've never had an opportunity to really deal with this whole issue of individuals growing up in the rural South. And I think that that is exactly what your book will deal with. Let me, before we get started on that, Ms. Berry, let's have you to give us some information about your background, your education, and some of the things that were important that eventually led you to writing such a book, and some of the other things in terms of your career experiences.
Yes. Well, first of all, I'm from a little small town called Halls, Tennessee, which is in West Tennessee, and it's also in Lauderdale County, which is the same county that Alex Haley is from. I graduated from Halls High School and decided to come to Tennessee State University. I had other siblings to come to TSU before I did, so I followed suit. At Tennessee State, I majored in sociology. I got a bachelor's in sociology, and I got a master's degree in guidance and counseling. And for many years, I worked in social work and counseling. I even worked in education. I always wanted to write. I had a love of writing stemming back to my childhood. Living in a rural community, there is basically your life is reduced to going to school, going to church, and work. And so we didn't have a lot of money. My family were poor, so reading was the thing that we could do that was free. And I did a lot of it, and I became impressed with authors, and I always wanted to write. I started writing poetry when I was in high school, but I always said that one day I'd like to write a novel. And after many years of working in the social work and counseling field and seeing how young people, how their lives are so very different, and the things that they confront today are so different from what I did, I wanted to tell my story, which I believe is the story of many African Americans in this country. Poor people who rose above those circumstances through education and having a work ethic. In that little small community, while we were all poor, my family, most of us seemed to be in the same situation. So there wasn't really a
realization.
Yes, no really real difference in socioeconomic classes. Now, in the little small town, the educated people were usually the teachers, and most of the town was an agrarian, agricultural type town. But everybody picked cotton and chopped cotton, even the teachers' children and the principal's children. We all did that, and sometimes it could be fun when we were all there together. Another thing about the small knit community is that you hear the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. That's exactly what happened in that small town. All of my teachers knew my parents up until integration. Now, my school was shut down my junior year. So my junior and senior year, I went to an integrated school and graduated from an integrated school. We had back in that little small town what we called the black school and the white school. Of course, not by color, but by who was attending the school.
Segregated school system is.
Yes. And but in that little town, anyone in the community, you know, could chastise you, or if you went to school and you misbehaved, you knew that when you got home, you would have some consequences at home as well. And it didn't matter if the teacher was wrong or right. My parents always said, you do exactly what that teacher tell you, and I better not hear anything different.
There was kind of discipline expected from you, regardless of what the situation might have been.
Absolutely. And my parents were sticklers for work, too. And we all worked in growing up. My mother used to say, if you won't work, you will steal. And I've thought about that a lot since I've been an adult. And that's very
Good.
true.
Okay, and of course, Ms. Berry, let me make preparations for our first commercial break. And after we come back, we're going to have you to get into some detail in reference to the tie that binds us. But essentially, I think that this is the kind of information that we want to sort of get out this morning, because I think that there are so many people today who don't understand the values that in a real sense were very, very important at this earlier period, and how these values might be used today. Of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. LBerry, and she's